you're signing up for when you purchase through Ingram or a vendor are the exact same terms that you're passing through to your customer. So that's the best way to do that. I am going to now flip over and share my screen for just a moment and walk you through a modeling tool that we have developed to help some of our partners here. I'd say this is something that can be used by just about all businesses. It's not quite one size fits all. We sometimes find that we have to make some tweaks to it, and we're happy to maybe sit down with you and help you make those tweaks so you can use it with your business. Let me walk you through the concept. What we're doing, by the way, anything in a kind of an orange-colored box is a variable that you can change the input, and it will give you a different output. And where we're going to do the analysis here is on the output. So never change something that's not orange is the moral of the story. So the first thing you want to do is look at the provider and the solution you're selling, okay? And I'm not going to get into vendor advertisements here, but, pick a vendor and maybe email the first solution that you're working with, right? Then you're going to add in security, cloud backup, collaboration, a help desk service, and then migration and setup. So there's 6 vendors or components to this killer cloud bundle that you're about to take to market. You'll see that we want to specify whether this is sold in a MRR, monthly recurring model, or is it a one-time fee. Everything on this model I'm showing here is a per seat type of model. So, for the number of end users, number of people at your end user, that's the quantity of these that you want to sell. Put down the gross profit percentage that you're going to see. This is tied to the work that you did when you were figuring out the pricing piece. And you can go in here and say, here's the MSRP, based on my discount that I'm going to get, here's my cost, here's the GP dollars I'm making for that component, right? And then I'm saying that my average number of units or average seat count is 30. So what this means is I'm selling this killer bundle, right, which has a $191 sell price. My cost is 82. I'm making 108 for each one I sell, and I'm going to sell to an average of a 30 seat count end user. Extrapolating that out, I'm just multiplying this per unit amount over in these columns by 30 to get this. And this would show that my average deal is going to be $5,730, monthly recurring combination with some one-time upfront, so the first month, let's say, my cost on that, and then how much profit I'm making off of that. By the way, I get a lot of questions saying, hey, are those margins reasonable? Can I really make that? The answer is, yeah, directionally, that's kind of what we're seeing when you bundle this. Email is a little lower margin, a little more commoditized. As you start to layer on a few cloud services, we are seeing partners make this, right? You can drop it a little if you think it's too aggressive, but again, if you're using value-based pricing, I think you'll see it works. And then right up to the managed and professional services, which carry a higher margin. That's why it's so important to bundle this in to get a blended 57% margin rate. The next orange box over here I factored in was a vendor monthly subsidy. So you might find that the email vendor you chose is willing to invest $1,000 a month into your business to help you go drive this thing, right? If that's not the case, you can zero it out, right? I'll leave it at 1,000 here for this model. If you can get more, fantastic. Plug them in there. Next, we've got some of the KPIs down in this section. And the ones I've used here are kind of what I would call most common or best practices. If you know better, it's your business. Please make the changes to it so you can be more accurate. Typically, we might see about an 18% lead conversion, meaning for every lead you get, 18% turn into a pipeline opportunity. The win rate, so within that pipeline, about 35% of those end up as a win at the end of the sales cycle. Cost per marketing lead, we see as being about $25. That can range a bit, right? But we're using that in this model. How much do you pay a marketing associate each month? Again, we're seeing an average of about $6,200 a month. How many leads can a marketing person support or generate? If you're doing it well, about 1,200. How much you pay a monthly sales associate? Again, right there. How many calls can they make? Right? This is a formula that says, okay, there's 50 days in a month. 65 days in a quarter divided by 3 months times 50 calls a day. If you got somebody that's making 50 phone calls a day, they're kind of a lead follow-up generation thing. That's about how much they can do a month. Number of calls per lead, they'll call a lead 3 times before they either say it's an opportunity or they say it's dead. They're not going to do it. How many calls they need to make once it's in the pipeline? Usually about 3 follow-up phone calls to close a deal. And what's the attrition rate? About 10%. I did include some footnotes for each of these to, again, kind of define what these are. And you can grab this and go and make the changes yourself based on what you know about your business. The next orange box section, and I promise we're almost done with orange boxes, we'll start looking at outputs, is the number of leads that you're going to drive, right? It all starts with this. What I did is I said, we're going to sell this as a bundle, so they're always sold together. So I want to drive 600 total leads, therefore I'm putting 100, on each of these to kind of spread out how much of each individual component I'm going to sell, right? There's different ways to play with this as we customize it, but this way is an easy way to do it. And what I'm showing is that this is month 1. I brought this out over a 3-year model, right? So you can see in month, all the way up to month 36, right? If you do this each and every month, what does it look like? Again, this is a plan. You're going to want to measure, did I actually get my 600 leads each month, right? And there's going to be a plus or minus on it. But if you're executing the plan flawlessly, this is what it would look like. Now, based on all these conversion rates or KPIs up here, those 600 leads are going to turn into 108 opportunities at that 18% conversion rate. Scroll down and see that those 108 opportunities will turn into 38 wins based on your win rate. Now you start looking and saying, based on my sales productivity and how many calls I think I can dial out on to do all this stuff, I'm going to need to make 2,124 calls a month to do this. Therefore, the fact that the number of calls my salespeople can actually make at 50 a day means I need 2 salespeople dedicated to this. If I need 600 leads a month, that's going to be half a marketing associate, so half their time spent on cloud if they could do 1,200 leads a month. My booking or my sale, based on kind of that average contract value that we looked at the top, is about $34,000 a month is what I'm going to book. My revenue before I factor attrition is here, and you can see this just keeps adding on the one-time amount as an upfront recognition, and then your monthly recurring revenue amount each and every month, and it goes out to the full 3 years. Now I'm going to look at what my attrition is, so I'm taking a percentage, and we said it was 10% of my base, so this is how much revenue I'm going to bleed every single month. And when I take that initial revenue minus attrition, this is my real revenue for my P&L. If I take my margin rates, and again, that's part of the reason we break it out by vendor, so you can see at the component level, how you're doing with your GP dollars. Am I making what I thought I was going to make? There's my total. And then you can also see there's my target for my GP percent. How did that really come out? And how am I doing? My cost for each sales associate is factored here. My cost for marketing associates, my cost for each marketing lead for the month, and all broken out. I've got this vendor subsidy, so they're helping to offset some of that. Therefore, my costs all added up minus that subsidy is my operating expense. Take my GP dollars minus my operating expense, and I've got my operating income. And you can see you're losing money for a couple months. We talked about cash flow. How do you plan for that, right? Do you scale back the investment? Do you have a way to offset that, right, from the rest of your business, let's say? But you can see in this model, by month 6, I'm profitable, and I am gaining money each and every time from that. And then I can look at it as a percentage of my revenue as well. So that's a big, long, ugly spreadsheet, but it's something that really helps plan it. And I'm going to show you on here as well. The next tab is a summary that rolls up from there, a quarterly view and an annual view of the number of leads, opportunities, wins, how many sales calls you made, how many sales associates and marketing associates, the cost of those people, right? And that's going to lay out your bookings, revenue, GP dollars, margin, GP percent, operating expense, operating income, and operating income percentage. So you can see this exact plan we looked at, year 1, it's positive, right? By Q3, you make $65,000 for the year, 5%. Keep doing it, sell some more, add your base, you're making $381,000 at 15%. By year 3, $697,000 at 20%. Your 3-year summary is you made $1 million in income, 40% OI when you add that all together, right? And you need to look at that and understand, is that attractive to me? I mean, I like the look of that, but you may have different expectations, so it's up to you to, go back and set those KPIs. But don't just change these things. You got to go back and change those lead indicators in the orange boxes to change this output and play around with it. And the last tab, since we said it was so important, is marketing. This rolls up and says, okay, I've got to build out, and I said month 1 is broken out by month for all 3 years. I got to do some stuff. So, you know, here's a catalog we built, and you can certainly make that a heck of a lot more extensive than we did. Here's how many leads we think that marketing catalog will drive. Here's what I think it'll cost to do it. There's my cost per lead that it's going to generate. Again, these should tie in and balance with those KPIs that you had on tab 1 over there. And if you look and say, okay, so some of the things I'm going to do, webinars, events, right? If I look and say, okay, I said that was going to give me 50 leads, that's going to give me 50. You can look and say, okay, I'm up to 100, I need 500. What do I want to do? Do I want to do 4 webinars and get 200 leads? Do I want to do 2 events and get 100? I'm chipping away at it. What if I did an email campaign? I said that was going to get me 50. So what if I did 4 of them? That's another 200. I only got 100 left to go in my gap. What if I did 1 industry event every single month and I go and I run the trade booth and I get 100? There you go. I zeroed it out. So month 1, I got a marketing plan of what I got to do. That's kind of how you use this to make sure that you actually have a realistic plan to achieve your goal. Okay. So this 3-tab thing, again, we'll be happy to help make available, help to customize if needed. And I'm jumping back to the webinar here to see what other questions that we might have. So the questions coming in, some people asking for the slide deck, some people asking for the modeling tool, getting copies of all that. And the answer is absolutely, we'll be happy to provide all of that for you. I think that we said that we were going to send out after the webinar, so we'll make sure that you get a copy of all that included with it. I'm also going to include my contact information, so Jason Bystrak, and my email is just jason.bystrak@ingrammicro, INGRAMMICRO.com, and we'll be happy to answer any one-off questions. Or I've got a whole team of people here in North America that help to do this type of business planning and modeling, and we'd be happy to get some of them engaged to help your business. So with that, I'm going to stop talking into all of your ears and see if there's any questions on the live audio piece that Peter can help with.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Jason. And I will make sure that that tool that you have there gets out with everyone, along with the presentation deck and audio recording. It'll be sent out to everyone here within a couple of business days to you there. And also, please take note that we do have a poll currently running. So if you could please take a moment to fill that out with your answers, we'd appreciate that. And as Jason said, if there are any questions that you have there, you can feel free to type them into that Q&A session there. And Jason, do you have any final remarks or closing before we wrap up?
No, I mean, again, cloud is something you need to be very intentional about. It's got to be a practice and not a hobby. Be proactive, don't be reactive to it. And it really is about some good business planning, but the results could be tremendous, and the valuation of your business and the profit that you bring in can be phenomenal.
Perfect. Well, thank you again, Jason. And ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the audio portion of today's Cloud University webinar. You may now disconnect from the audio line, but please, again, feel free to stay online and submit additional text questions in the Q&A box. Thank you again for joining us today.